Land stewardship for us, a lot of our operation is rehabilitating lands and improving. You know, we've also seen through the results here that you can actually grow your cattle operation while you're improving the operation that you're working on. Have more grass than we've ever had, healthier soils, healthier water, and we've seen that firsthand here and then these leases that we're taking over now. I'm James Clement. We're here at Los Hermanos Ranch in Brooks County, Texas. My grandfather, Jim Clement, he first purchased this land in 1967. It was part of the old Mariposa or Sullivan Ranch, which is to our south. We're on the northeast side of Brooks County. In the 70s, my uncle and father, Martin Clement or Martine Clement, and then Jamie Clement, bought the ranch from their dad. And then in 2013, I took over the operation as manager from my uncle. And then shortly thereafter, we kind of brought on some of these other people who are in the team. We created Bloody Buckets Cattle Company. 4 generations of my family served for the 28th Division in Pennsylvania. My grandfather, when he was in World War II, they earned the title Bloody Buckets Division because the Germans kept seeing that red patch on their left shoulder and kept seeing them in all the heaviest fighting. And so now we brand our cattle on the left hip with the same symbol. It's a brand now, but that they wore on their left patch in the war. The other people that we have today are Dr. Pancho Ortega Sr. and his son, Dr. Pancho Ortega Jr. And they're partners on the cattle business, and they help run the cattle operation and the grazing plan. And then we also have Fernando Cervantes, who's our foreman here. And so we have a cow-calf operation. We also do replacement heifers. We have some horses. We've got a wildlife operation, both commercial and leased. And then the last few years, our operation has grown where we now lease. In total, we run on 6 ranches in South Texas, 4 different counties. We've gotten to where we've become more intensive in our grazing operation. And so in the course of that, we've grown our cattle numbers where we're now running more cows than we've ever run before. But because of our rotation, we're also have more grass than we've ever had, healthier soils, healthier water. So because of that, we're also selling carbon credits off the ranch. And then we're also involved with a variety of programs in terms of both with the government, EQIP, GRIP, all those things, but then also we work with Texas A&M Kingsville, Texas A&M College Station, a lot of government entities to bring them out here, teach people about ranching, about how we ranch down here, and brush management, and all the things that we are trying to learn and trying to do better on this ranch.
My name is Poncho Ortega Jr. I'm partners with the Clement family and with my father. And my role is basically to help with whatever I need to help with, pretty much. Obviously, the decision-making process is part of what I help with. I usually take the lead with all the NRCS EQIP programs. The way we're spread out out in 6 different ranches, and a couple of them are closer to where I live. From what I feel like it's my part, we've done a really good job at trying to take advantage of as many programs that are out there. I know that in some cases, some people prefer not to utilize, I don't know, I guess there's a kind of an old school attitude, like I want to do this on my own part of thing. But the way I see it is that if you want to make this the most productive enterprise, you have to, extend your net, cast your net as far as you can, and use whatever resources are out there. Because in the most case, like NRCS, for example, that ends up being taxpayer money, and we all pay taxes, so it's our money, really. I mean, you're not taking advantage of anybody. You're just, especially for us here, we've been fortunate enough to use the funds that we get there to make a great improvement on the ranch, and I think that that just, it kind of feeds itself. You know, you make the ranch more productive, which makes us more productive. If you try to just do everything that we've done just on cattle or just on the wildlife, it's pretty much impossible. You need all the producers, I think, need the help to get the practices done more efficiently, uh, rather than, just if you do it on your own, it's going to take a long time. You may be able to do it, but it's going to take a long time.
I am Poncho Ortega, and I do all the management of this ranch and another three operations that we run. We have cow calf over here, and then breeding heifers in another property, and then another cow calf operation next to the Encino division of the King Ranch, and then we have another ranch with breeding heifers. I was born and raised in Mexico, so I did my bachelor in animal science and agronomy in Ciudad Victoria at the University of Tamaulipas. Then my master at the Antonio Narro University on animal science. Then I did my doctorate at the University of Florida on and the emphasis on my doctorate was grazing management. When I thought I retired, I started really working because uh, you know, we originally had only 3 ranches, but now we are covering 32,000 acres on 6 operations. And then next year we'll start grazing La Copita experimental ranch from Texas A&M. So it's going to be 7. My son covers the 2 that are up north, closer to San Antonio, and I cover everything else. So I'm pretty much on the brush most of the days. Little time to be in the office, which is great, and I'm not missing the teaching and the research at all.
So how long have you been at this ranch?
I started coming to this ranch back in 2002, 2003, just to work as a cowboy. And then in 2015, we were invited to do a partnership on the cattle with a little piece of land, only 700 acres. And then after that, they gave us another 200 acres and then another 500, and then they basically invited us to be partners with all the cattle in the whole ranch, which is 3,000 acres.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, what a cool climb though.
Right. Yeah.
So the cattle that y'all are running out here, what is their genetic makeup? What breeds or composites are you running?
We are running American Reds, which is basically a cross of Santa Gertrudis with Red Angus, and it can go 25% Santa Gertrudis, 75% Red Angus, or vice versa, and all the combinations in between.
Okay. And the girt, you're just trying to bring some of that ear in for hybrid vigor because of your geographical environment, or?
This cross is really well adapted to this region. I mean, we're talking that here in the summer, we get 115, 117 Fahrenheit of air temperature. It's really hot and humid, and they are very resistant to that.
So, what's your average rainfall per year down here?
The average rainfall is 22 inches per year in 2 peaks. One in the spring that is supposed to start March and finish around June, and then another one in the fall that is basically September and October. being September, the more supposed to be the more rainy month of the year. Now, the thing is that rain is so unpredictable here because, for example, this year our last rain was in August. We didn't get rain September. We didn't get rain in October. So that situation triggered management decisions in terms of adjusting stocking rates and making other practices that usually will not happen until October. We had to do it in September.
So we're talking about environment, very different down here than what we've seen on the program before. You do a lot with wildlife. So what type of ecological situation you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis?
This is a really difficult environment because, like I said before, rainfall is very unpredictable. But in order to do proper management of wildlife and cattle, the first thing that we need to know is what ecological site we have at the ranch. Here at the ranch, we have 7 different ecological sites. Most of the land is sandy, meaning that there is not a lot of water retention because the sandy soils really drain fast. So with that in mind, we have 3 objectives at the ranch. We have ecological objectives, which is basically keeping the ground cover that you can see over here. This, something like this is 80 to 90% ground cover. Why we want to keep a cover like that? Because with the sandy soils, we want to trap every drop of rain that we get. Now, why do we keep stuff like this? Look how much we grazed this pasture 2 months ago. But look what is the cover, you know.
Yeah, it keeps going, doesn't it?
Yes, take a look at this. All the leader we got right there. Take a look at this.
Yeah.
You see, this is what I'm talking about. So when rain comes, it's gonna pass by, and this is going to retain it. So
it's like water gaps. You see all the brush that can't
exactly.
to visualize what we're talking about. Yeah.
But in addition to that, a plant of grass like this vigorous, has probably a root system that is 2 foot deep. So in sandy soils, if we get an inch of rain and we have this much roots, after 1 week, the moisture is over here. So the roots will not reach it. But here, we have this much root. So if we get 2 inches of rain, that moisture is gonna last for a month. And most of this is clever blue stem, and it's a warm season grass.
Okay.
And they complete their growing cycle in about 35 days.
Oh, that's
So
it.
yes,
Wow.
whatever they are going to produce, they are going to produce it in 35 days. And then you can graze it and it will grow back during the growing season. But so in terms of the ecological objectives, we want to have the ground covered and we want to have plants that are as vigorous as that to use all the moisture that we have. Now, our second objective is the cattle performance and the wildlife. The cattle needs to be in body condition score 5 and over. And you are going to see today some of our cows that are under that because they are calving. But, and we want to produce calves that are at least 500 pounds. Then we have our economic objectives. Except for the last 3 years, 2 years that we have had really good prices, our goal was to get at least $500 per cow per year. With these current market prices, we are way over
above
that.
yeah.
But we haven't modified our objectives yet because we're afraid that the market is going to crash at some point.
I was going to say, we don't know how long it's going to last, though. Yeah.
We hope it lasts for the next 10 years. That I might not last that long, but you know, we have to be prepared for that. So we have the ecological objectives, the production objectives, and the economic objectives. Now, why do we leave that much grass? Well, because that's a perfect nesting spot for a bald white. or a phone might be able to hide right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what we want. We don't run this ranch at capacity, at the current capacity that it has, because we want to have we want to optimize instead of maximize. We will not maximize cattle production because we want to optimize a wildlife production.
I love
And main
that.
thing is a white-tailed deer and both white and nilgai. Those are the three focus species. Now, in terms of the management, you are going to see all our pastures like this. We try to keep at least 1,500 pounds on the ground.
Okay.
Now, this is brush country,
Mm-hmm.
and the battle with mesquite and with sage is constant. Every year we have to do 100 or 200 acres of either herbicide application or a mechanical control. As you can see, this pasture, we applied herbicide.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all the dead brush that we have. We applied herbicide 4 years ago because otherwise, in a period of 5 to 10 years, this becomes as well. You are not going to see that in the back because it's too foggy,
Right.
but it becomes really, really thick, and the forest production picks down, and then our carrying capacity goes down.
I
So,
love
so we
their.
have to be combining the methods to manage the brush.
I love your quote of uh, "You're not here to maximize; you're here to or optimize."
Optimize.
That's a great quote because I think a lot of times we think about carrying capacity, like, oh, what is the number of head per acre, or vice versa, acres per head can you run? And that's when you start getting yourself into a snag.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
when you think of it in that mindset that you just said, that also gives you some flash drought forgiveness as well, because if you don't have to worry about trying to cull and sell off if you already have that buffer zone. So
Right.
I love that.
In addition to that, I would like to add that ranching is a low profit activity. I mean, if you compare it to flipping houses or doing something else, we do this because we have the passion, and but we need help. And I will give you an example. This is probably one of the most productive ranches of South Texas because, for example, last year we made over $1,000 per cow.
Mm.
But the capacity of this ranch is going to be about 150 animals. Even at capacity, $150,000 is barely a good salary for one person. So if we need to do brush control and all the other habitat management practices, where the money is going to come from? It can come from the ranch. So it has to come from programs like Equip with NRCS, like the Rio Grande joint venture, and any other government program, the drought insurance. Uh, we really need those programs to survive because even as productive as we are, we will not be able to do improvements and make a living just based on the income of the ranch. Now, this ranch has the income of the cattle, the wildlife, and carbon credits. So it's as productive as it is. But even with all that put together, I mean, we need help.
So my name is Fernando Cervantes. I'm ranch foreman for Los Hermanos Ranch. I've been here on the ranch about 10 years. About 7 of those working for the Clements. 3 of those was working for a previous leasee that we had here. Take care of liaison between contractors or field law enforcement in the area, and anybody who's operating on the ranch. Try to keep a medium or work with our wildlife people or hunters, as well as our state wildlife biologist. We do surveys twice a year, or at least once a year for sure, and then get all that data to our state biologist, Parks and Wildlife biologist, and then they'll determine whether we're doing good as far as the game is concerned, whether we get any more depredating permits, MLD permits, or not. And and proceed from there. They're seeing more deer, more nilgai, especially nilgai. We're having a lot of nilgai coming into the area. Most of the deer that they are harvesting are in real good shape, or real, put a lot of weight on them. And the nilgai, definitely a lot of weight on those. They're competing, but they compete a lot with our cattle, so those are the ones that we try to manage the most. So try to keep those numbers down. My favorite part is being out here. Los Hermanos is a very unique place. Both mainly because of the abundance and the variety of wildlife, but also the cattle and the horses. And I'll enjoy working with the horses. That's another part that I kind of inherited, working with the horses, while the pointers mainly work with their cattle. I look after the horses.
So in addition to cattle, wildlife, because you don't have your hands full enough, you also are in the equine business. So for those who aren't familiar with your program, talk a little bit about bloodlines. What do you use them for? Is it just ranch work? Do you compete off of them? Do you sell them? Just give me the lay of the land there.
So yeah, my mother's family's Beggs Cattle Company. Next year's 150th year. My father's family's King Ranch. And then as you kind of get around the people that you like to be around, you also kind of want to work with some of their horse lines too. So, but the gist of it is combining both family lines of horses together. So the gray mare that's out here is by a special cat, is a Beggs bred mare. And then the stud that we already looked at is by a CD bred horse, CD Son of Magnolia bred horse, or that's the name of the stud. And he'll go out on all these mares this year. So a Beggs stud on one Beggs mare, and then the rest being King Ranch mares, and then a couple outliers too. But so all the sorrel mares you're seeing here are either out of a stud that King Ranch used to have that was named Pepe's Humo. There was a Mr. San Pepe out of an El Rey Rojo mare. And then also a man named Dennis Reed out of Nebraska gave us a few mares that were by a stud called Soda Pep. And he was also a Mr. San Pepe El Rey Rojo. And El Rey Rojo was a son of Ray Del Rancho, which was one of the old times at King Ranch too. So what's fun for me is that we're breeding to the new genetics of the Beggs stud, crossing on old King Ranch genetics.
That's fun.
And then the red roan, you see Juliana Hahn Holt, who's a friend, and it's a bet he's a cat out of a Corona Trick Chick, first down dash bred mare. And so combining the cow horse and some of the running blood too, because she's real into the running horses. Then there's a bay mare there too that is from Johnny East, who's a cousin, but the East family ranches separately from King Ranch. But it's an abracadabra acre mare that he won a bunch of money on too. So
you got a lot going on here. That's a lot of paint to play with.
That's right. But there's still uniformity in terms of their build, their size. There is some breeding that is similar across the board, which is quarter horses nowadays anyways.
Sure.
But there's still enough variety too, where we'll have, yes, they're ranch horses is primary, but roping, maybe a little bit of cow horse, had some try to go to the cutting route too. And but again, as we explore some of those other opportunities, we'll still come back to ranch horses. Just trying to build a name for these mares on their own.
Is this something that you're wanting to grow?
Yeah, well, not in numbers. We've got enough numbers, but in quality and consistency.
Okay.
And so to have a unique line of horses that is both sides of family and friends and all that thing I already said, but that is also got its own unique appeal to people around here. But again, mostly for working cowboys and stuff like that, and not chasing high dollar horses much, but more being involved with working programs down here.
Sure. From what it sounds like, pretty heavy with the carbon credit program. Can you explain what that is and how it has benefited your operation, why you're a part of that program?
Sure. So I work, my day jobs with a company called Earth Optics, So we're a soil measurement and mapping company. And so we actually go out and take the soil samples and then quantify the amount of carbon in the soil. And then this ranch sells credits through Grassroots Carbon. So, I mean, the way it works is that Grassroots Carbon finds the ranch land, finds the buyers that are buying the credits, and it's all Fortune 200 companies and beyond. And so they aggregate the buyers, they aggregate the acreage, and then they'll pay with the sale of credits. You pay for the sampling. So one, we do get soil data to know how is our soil improving on the place, or where do we need to see improvement. And then you're getting a model overall for a 5-year period, and then every 5 years it's resampled. But so every year we'll do a conversation with Understanding Ag, the consultants, and some of the Grassroots Carbon team, and just tell them how we're managing the place, what big changes, whether to brush management or to cattle management or to hunting, just whatever's kind of going on at the wave tops. And sometimes they'll give some advice on things, but generally, like with this operation and the team we have here, they're like, sounds good, keep it up. Because I mean, that is the pursuit, is we're trying to improve the ranch every day. And so, you know, I've looked pretty deeply into this, and most ranches in Texas make between $5 and $15 an acre in cattle, you know, and that combines leasing or running their own cows. Wildlife is anywhere from $5 to $50 an acre. Carbon credits are already paying on our ranches that we're involved with anywhere from, I think, $12 to almost $20 an acre.
Wow.
And that is growing every year. It's almost doubling. The first year we did it was $6 an acre. Now you're looking at this, you know, an average of 15 or 16. And then next year it could be in the 20 to 30. And that is in the rancher's hands. That's not, oh, these costs, those costs. That's net. We are seeing that the healthier everything is, the more money you make from everything too. And so that's where the definition of sustainability becomes most important. It's not about, you know, only making long-term decisions for the sake of the health of the place, but it's also like the long-term decisions will pay you more in the long run on a ranching operation.
I love that. So here in South Texas, you're dealing with a little bit different of forage. We kind of looked a little bit about it, but talk to me about what kind of grasses are you trying to help promote, and then how do you manage any kind of flash drought or just drought resistance?
Yeah. A few things before, you know, we can consider ourselves in all the ranches that we manage, regenerative ranching, and I will tell you why. Back in 2015, when we started on this operation, we were managing one animal unit for every 22 acres. At this point, we are managing one animal unit for every 12.
Really?
Yes, the
Wow.
increase the way that we manage pastures, we are constantly increasing carrying capacity. We are probably at the limit here, and the reason I say that is because the grasses that we grow, that is mainly clever blue stem, guinea grass, buffalo grass, and some natives, those have a certain capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And we cannot go higher on the stocking rate because we have to leave cover for the bobwhites and the deer, you know. And when I talk about regenerative ranching, they have been trying to associate this to high intensive grazing systems. Regeneration has nothing to do with that. And luckily in our business, there are more than one way to do things right.
Mm.
And what we are doing, increasing the carrying capacity from 22 acres per animal unit to 12 acres to animal unit. If that is not regeneration, I don't know what it is. But with that said, our management has to reflect, and you know, this pasture has been already grazing, and you can see
Yeah.
all the cover we have.
We can look at it.
And here we have, this is buffalo grass, and it's, you know, as dry as we are, we have some regrowth. The ranch is right now at carrying capacity, and the grazing that we do, it depends of the weather conditions. We use rotational grazing, but our pastures go from 30 acres to 500 acres. So,
You change that every year?
depending on we don't base the grazing periods based on the size of the pastures, but in the amount of forage that we have. So I come every week and check pastures, and then I say, well, it's time to go. And this is the type of stubble height that we like to leave
Okay.
in the pastures for two reasons. Number one, to keeping the root system strong, but in addition to that, to harvest as much moisture as possible. So rotational grazing is good, but luckily for in our industry, every ranch is unique. So there is more than one way to do things right.
Land stewardship for us at Los Hermanos and then with Bloody Buckets Cattle Company and our other cattle operations is about making the ranch better every day. And so a lot of our operation is rehabilitating lands and improving. But you know, we've also seen through the results here that you can actually grow your cattle operation while you're improving the operation that you're working on. And we've seen that firsthand here and then these leases that we're taking over now. As much as we want to improve all these places we're in, we've got to put a model together. And usually that's also a good conversation on leasing too, because traditionally a lot of cattle leases were 1 year, 3 year type leases. And for the price of cattle right now, to buy replacement heifers, you need really at least 5 years to really, one, turn a profit, but two, to show true improvement.
Teamwork. It is a common theme you've been hearing today, not just for cattle and wildlife management, but for land stewardship. We want to thank the Los Hermanos Ranch and Bloody Buckets Cattle Company for having us out on this episode of Ranchworthy, brought to you by the Texas A&M Center for Grazing Lands and Ranch Management. Until next time, I'm your host, Emma Coffman, and this is Ranchworthy.